All right, let's get right into it. What if I told you that your product's most valuable asset is also its most vulnerable one? And no, I'm not talking about your code or your secret sauce algorithm. I'm talking about your user interface. Now, over the next few minutes, we're going to unpack why your UI is so much more than just a pretty face. It's actually a fortress, and you really need to be protecting it.
So seriously, take a second and think about this. What is your product's most valuable but completely unprotected asset? Your mind probably jumps straight to your proprietary code, maybe that killer algorithm you spent months on. But the real answer? It's literally staring you and, more importantly, your competitors right in the face. It's the part of your product that builds all that user trust, the part people touch and interact with every single day. And here's the kicker. It's the easiest thing in the world to steal. Yep, it's your UI.
Okay, so this brings us to a really critical shift in how we need to think about this. Your UI? It's not just some design layer you slap on at the end. It's the sum total of 1,000 tiny decisions you made to make your product feel intuitive and trustworthy. Honestly, it's probably the main reason users choose you over the other guy. And believe me, the second you start getting some real traction, that's the very first thing your rivals are going to try to copy.
And this right here, this shows a huge disconnect in the startup world. Look, founders, we spend so much time and money protecting the engine, right? The algorithms, the hardware, the complex backend stuff. But here's the thing, your competitors, they don't really care about what's under the hood. They're just stealing the car's design. They want that sleek look, that intuitive dashboard, that smooth ride, the whole look and feel. They're stealing the experience that you've poured years into perfecting. So, this is where a graphical user interface, or GUI patent, comes in. Think of it as your secret weapon. It's what takes your UI from this kind of loose, fuzzy idea and turns it into a real, concrete asset that you legally own. It's like a shield. It lets you draw a line in the sand and basically say, hey, back off. This experience, it's ours. But listen, a UI patent isn't just about playing defense. It's actually a really powerful offensive tool. It can give you a massive strategic advantage. So let's talk about how you can use it to not just survive out there, but to actually thrive in a super competitive market. Yeah, having a protected UI isn't just some piece of paper that sits on a shelf. It creates this ripple effect across your entire company. For starters, it raises the barrier for any new competitors. It forces them to actually innovate instead of just imitating you. And it speaks volumes to investors. Look, they might not get the ins and outs of your code, but you better believe they understand the value of a polished, protected user experience. And that can lead directly to a higher valuation and give you way more leverage when you're talking partnerships. I really love this quote. A screen is not just a picture. It is a promise. It perfectly captures what a great UI is all about, right? It's not just a bunch of pixels on a screen. It's a promise you're making to your users. A promise that your product will be simple, that it'll be reliable, and that they can trust it. So when you protect your UI, what you're really doing is protecting that promise and protecting the relationship you've worked so hard to build with your customers.
And this really gets to the heart of the offensive power we were talking about. With UI patent, you're not just building a wall around your work. You're actually claiming territory in the user experience space. You're forcing competitors to have to build around you, not just right on top of you. And that gives you priceless breathing room, space to innovate and grow while they're stuck playing catch-up.
Okay, so what can you actually protect here? It might sound a little abstract, but it's really not. Let's break down what a GUI patent covers into 3 really concrete things that, honestly, you and your team are already working with every single day. First up, screens. Pretty straightforward, right? This is the visual backbone of your product. We're talking about your home screen, your dashboard, that settings page, all of it. The patent office is looking at the unique way you've arranged all the elements on those screens. If that layout is distinct and recognizable, guess what? It's protectable. Next, we have states. Now, this is all about how your screen changes and communicates with the user. Think about that loading animation, the little success pop-up, or the error message. These might seem like small details, but they are a huge part of your product's personality, its unique visual fingerprint. And yep, you can protect them too. And finally, we've got transitions. This is the motion, the animations and movements between screens and states. It's what makes your product feel alive, fluid, and just responsive. A competitor can copy your static layout pretty easily, but it's way harder to replicate the feeling of a seamless transition. Protecting these moments is absolutely crucial because it's how you protect that intangible magic of your product.
So when you put it all together, you're not just protecting individual pieces. You're protecting the screens, which is the visual structure. You're protecting the states, which is how that structure behaves. And you're protecting the transitions, which is how the user moves between them. You're protecting the entire visual flow. And that creates a seriously strong barrier that makes it incredibly difficult for anyone to just come along and copy your success.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, I get it. But the big question is, how do you actually do this without grinding your whole development process to a halt? Well, let's dive into a practical playbook designed for fast-moving teams. We're also going to debunk a couple of common myths along the way.
So, myth number 1, the perfection trap. I see this all the time. Founders think, I'll file for a patent when the design is absolutely perfect. But come on, we all know UI perfection never really arrives, does it? It's always a moving target. The real key here is to protect your stable foundation early on, and then you can just file updates as your product evolves.
All right, myth number 2. Filing patents will slow down our sprints. So many teams are afraid of this, but the reality is actually the complete opposite. It can speed things up. Think about it. When your core UI is protected, your team has a stable foundation. They can innovate with confidence, knowing their hard work is secure. Instead of always looking over their shoulder, it actually enables future growth.
So the ideal way to do this is what I like to call the patent as you build cycle. It's a simple loop. Step 1, design your core UI. Step 2, file the patent before you launch. Step 3, launch with that protection already in place. And then step 4, as you evolve, you just update with new filings. Each filing is basically a snapshot in time, and together they create this layered shield that just grows right alongside your business.
And look, if you take away only one thing from this, let it be this: file before you launch. I cannot stress this enough. The absolute moment your product is public, people will start trying to copy it. It's just a fact. Filing beforehand puts a legal stake in the ground. It establishes your claim, protects your novelty, and sends a really powerful message that you are serious about defending what you've built.
So, we started all this with a question, and it feels right to end with one too. Remember, your UI is the very first promise your product makes to its users. It's a promise of a great, trustworthy experience. So the question you need to ask yourself is that promise protected?